founder of Empoweringly. Welcome to a new episode of the Growth Invitation, where we invite people from all over the globe to share with us their story so that you can get inspired to start your own growth. Today, I have the absolute honor to bring on someone super special. This lady is the incredible Stella Rose, who is the wife of Steve Rose from the episode that we saw before. Stella, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Today, I've asked Stella to come on and tell us her journey of actually being the support of someone that is actually going through depression. As many of us know, a lot of people are going through this right now, and it certainly is not an easy journey. So Stella has kindly offered to tell us her experience and her growth journey, to tell us how she did it, the pains that she went through, what you can do in order to get through this period for yourself. So Stella, tell us a little bit about when Steve opened up to you about his depression. Okay. How did you feel?
Okay, well, the darkest times, back in 2009, Steve had lost his workshop, his business, himself. I saw the man that I loved just completely gone, crushed, I felt as though I needed to support him, to help him. I guess the dark times continued for a couple of years while he was still trying to discover things about himself while he was in his darkest hours. It was difficult for me. It was like not just watching somebody suffer, but somebody completely disappear. He was a mere shell of the person that I fell in love with.
And how long had you guys been together before that started?
Well, we've been together now 18 years. I'm not great at math, so that's probably a good 12 years ago now. About 6 years into our relationship, give or take a couple of years, we went through from building his business to seeing it completely gone. That all of his hopes, dreams, wishes for the future had just been completely shattered by that, by his episode, by his nervous breakdown, the sheer levels of stress that he was under, to the point where it literally nearly killed him in multiple ways, but certainly emotionally and mentally.
And how did you feel when it happened for the very first time?
This was the first time that I had experienced anybody with any type of mental health issue. I was lucky enough to have a very normal upbringing, a large family. There was five of us kids, and all in all, it was a normal British upbringing, quite stable, nice and easy. So to see somebody that I loved go through such a crushing blow, I myself was completely lost. I was frustrated. I didn't know how to deal with it at all. I myself went into kind of a supportive role. I had to take charge of the situation. People may say that I use my bossiness and assertiveness to just pull myself together, so I could actually just run the show.
So actually, sometimes bossiness comes in handy, right?
Yes, exactly, yes. Assertiveness, I like to call it.
Yes, that's
better. Right.
So how did you use the assertiveness to get you through? Like, you got to put things into order as much as possible when the man that you love was just basically a shell.
Yes, I'm a very practical person anyway. So I think my assertiveness was to get everything in place from a practical point of view. I made sure there was a schedule, that he would have something to eat. All the practical things that you can think of, encouraging him to, even to the point of encouraging, go and clean your teeth, go and have a shower. Because at that point he was, as I said, a complete shell. some days it didn't even feel like there was a human there. And I had to be practical about it. You know, it's almost, it's a living being, but some days it didn't resemble anything in terms of the man I love or a human or anything. It was just a case of, let's practically put things in place to help this situation, and just pray and hope that, number one, I have the strength to keep this going, and that he will see some sort of journey, or I often secretly hoped that this would just be a moment in time that a switch would flick and he would be fine. You know, he would wake up one morning happy as Larry, back to normal. But as
that didn't quite happen.
Didn't happen, no. As the time went on, there was serious consideration whether I myself could continue in that situation. During the darkest periods, I was still in a very stressful full-time job. I still had to look after things at work as well. Being a manager, I had to make sure that things were going according to plan at work as well as at home. So I had to shut myself down to protect myself, and to make sure that things were happening.
So you were a manager at work, 40 hours a week plus, and you have to, those were the times before working from home, right?
Oh yes.
So you had to go into the office every single day. You had to leave Steve's shell at home in hope that he didn't do anything to himself, and then come back and still do everything else and run the house.
Yeah, and I think one of the worst points was that he, you know, as a ghost, as a shell, he had said to me that if he was going to do anything to himself, self-harm, suicidal thoughts, even go through with anything, that he would want to phone me before he did it. And obviously,
I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, exactly. I mean, at the time, you felt that it was a good thing, but practically speaking, looking back, I was on tenterhooks. Anytime my phone rang and it was Steve, you know, he could just be phoning up because he needed to talk to me.
Yeah.
But I immediately went, this is it. This is the time. But luckily, if you call it luck, I suppose, he was also in his journey that he wanted to open up to me and have that discussion. And I've got to admit, it was very close to that, before we had that discussion, that I was close to walking, because it was just, I felt that I was losing myself day in and day out. You know, there was less and less of me, and my reserves were at all-time low as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we managed to sit down and have the conversation around, are we going to improve this, whatever is not working, and luckily that seemed to strike a chord with him. He promised me that he wouldn't take his life, and that was really difficult to hear, actually, because on one hand you think, oh, thank God for that, but on the other it's, don't put yourself through misery just to promise me something. So it was really like a double-edged sword, but I think he needed that commitment, that value for himself, and I think from that point on he began to just search. It became his life mission. He wouldn't sleep that well anyway, so he was always up researching. Any waking moment he was looking for, searching for an answer, something to just pull him through, and I could see the beginnings of hope.
Wow.
And that made me begin to have hope myself. And also it allowed me some space to step back and begin to look after myself again.
Why did you stay? It's a very difficult journey. Why did you stay?
I have a huge intuition with Steve that I know that he's a man that can, or a being, not just a man, he's somebody that will do better, will do great things. And just his journey alone shows that I was right.
Yes.
That he does do great things.
Yeah.
And his journey has been amazing to witness, and I am so proud of him to have gone through that journey.
So this is basically what we call unconditional love, right? For you to have endured all of this and to have stayed, even though times were really hard for you, because you had to be more than yourself. You had to be two people instead of just one.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your growth throughout this. How do you think you've grown? Or what is your biggest growth?
It's funny that, because I'm not one that looks at myself in terms of my values or check a list to make sure I'm doing this, that, or the other. And it's difficult for me to reflect and say, oh, actually, yes, I have moved on and done this, and this. But actually, through the journey, I've certainly coped with stress a lot better than I have ever done. My work-life balance, I actually think that I'm more like the old me, but I've reconstructed myself to be a better, well-rounded individual. And I've certainly grown from the experience. I like the fact that I'm learning a lot of things about myself via Steve's journey. I like the fact that we've reconstructed our relationship. It's much more powerful now than it's ever been. I wouldn't even say that we are like we used to be. We are new and improved, most definitely.
Wow.
We attract more fun. We enjoy things a lot more. And we're not too scared to go out and about and do things now.
And I guess, that all comes from the experience of, if not now, when, right?
Yes, yeah. And in particular, that resonates with me quite a lot, actually, the whole, if not now, when. It's enabled me to have some self-love and look at things that I want to do and actually push my comfort zone.
Wow, that is so beautiful. Actually, from such a difficult and traumatic experience of supporting someone that you really love to go through such a difficult journey, coming out the other side stronger, better. That is so inspirational, and I'm sure my audience will agree. If there was one tip that you can give to people who are going through the same experience that you did before, what would that be?
Looking back in hindsight, I would probably say that actually give yourself some space. That's one thing I didn't do. I was 110% devoted to the situation, which actually caused me to go through a depressive period. So I would actually say, do take some care of yourself, even if that's to go for a walk by yourself or take a longer journey home. I did that quite often with the excuse of I have to work late, driving the car, music blaring, just taking that time to just decompress. So yeah, I didn't do that as often as I should have. So I would say that.
And also to reach out to people for help, right, and support.
Yeah, bless her. I do have a best friend and I did whinge at quite a lot. But even in the darkest times, I didn't open up to her at all. I should have leaned on her a lot more because she was open and willing to. And I love her to bits.
Wow. Thank you so much for coming on to the show, Stella. It's been incredible hearing about your journey. Self-love is such an important thing. And if you don't take care of yourself, you would have no chance of being able to take care of other people because you only show up as half of you. So don't ever forget that. Anyway, thank you so much again, Stella, for coming on, and we'll see you again next time. Bye for now.